All right, there we go. Let's see. Okay. So first off, I want to start with MMS. Huh? Oh yeah, but I'm gonna show. We're gonna pray in just a second. I'm gonna start off with MMS first. Well, I can tell you what. Let your word not return into the void, but let it accomplish that which you please and prosper in the thing where you sent it. And we thank you. All right. So here, what I want to do first before I start off is I want to give an update to everybody out there. This is the looks of my psoriasis. But what I want to show people is not someone close to me. That would be Betty. Went out on the internet and found something bad about MMS. A couple other people have showed me bad things too. But let me show y'all something. This is potable aqua, chlorine dioxide water purification tablets, and this is sold at Academy, Walmart, and everywhere else. Let's read this. What it says right here: effective against viruses, bacteria, cysts such as Giardia and Cryptosporidium. This is what it's for. Okay, I showed y'all all the stuff. If you're still not ready to understand what I've showed you, there seems to be a personal problem. Okay, and at the end of today's lesson, I'm going to show you some more. There's a reason why big pharmaceutical, your medical industrial complex, cannot legally provide cures. Okay? And I want you to understand that. I'm going to show you that today. And the only thing they can do is provide what? Relief from symptoms. That is it. They will not provide a cure. They cannot. They cannot legally do such things. All right, so let's go through here. Let's just make sure we understand and why I had so many great benefits from this. Okay, Choi is having a difficult time with it. You want to know why he's having a difficult time? Because he's got a bunch of parasites, and I'm going to show y'all that. This is just the stomach pains, vomiting. I'm going to show you another one. But I've been on the apple cider vinegar 2 to 3 times a day for almost 2 years. All of you know me, I barely eat sugar. Hardly ever do I eat anything with sugar in it. So for the last 2 years, I have starved the parasites in my system. So they don't have a healthy place. So when I started it, I got all the benefits from it. Let's go down here. I want to, of course, there it is, apple cider vinegar, probiotics, cinnamon, coconut oil, garlic, olive oil. These are great for you. Berries. All right, so what I want to look at right here is foods to remove from your diet. Foods that, when you get a craving for sugar, you got to have sugar. Is that really you craving it? Huh? The ultimate foods to avoid during your cleanse. Processed foods, we know this. Sugar. Sugar is an ideal way to supercharge the parasites in your body. Wheat. Many grains that are consumed commonly today, particularly those that contain gluten, quickly break down into sugar and cause inflammation in the intestines. Inflammation is the cause of what? Pain. Alcohol. There you go again, because what's alcohol made from? Wheat and barley. And sugar. Pork. Why is pork so bad for you? Well, there's hardly any nutrition in pork. One, because the way hogs are raised, they're raised in a pen and intravenously fed food, but they don't digest food correctly either. All right, so 12 parasite die-off symptoms and how to fight them. And this is from microbiology, formulas. Since there are so many different types of parasites, the symptoms are varied, and what you'll have is skin rashes, itching, unexplained aches, brain fog, fatigue, lethargy, weight loss, stomach pain, mood disorders, anxiety. And I want to read this right here. When an eradication agent is introduced to the body, parasites die. They release inflammatory toxins that alert your body to pay attention and expel them as fast as possible. So when you start killing the parasites that are in our body, and we all have parasites, and 1 in 3 people in this country have worms. This can be uncomfortable. And what happens is right here. if you start thinking in terms of frequency, pH, you go check your pool's pH, right? You go check that pH. The pool has a pH. Either it's alkaline or acidic. The same thing with the human body. We're 7.3. When you're acidic, you allow for parasites, infection, viruses, and everything else to grow in your body. You raise your alkaline level up and you're more in balance. Parasites release neurotoxins, heavy metals, viruses, and other toxins which enter in the intestinal fluid that surrounds the tissue cells. These toxins then travel to the lymphatic system, which helps filter your body's waste. Next, they head to the spleen, the lymph nodes, or the liver to be further filtered. So what I found out in my research is that psoriasis, every doctor I've ever gone to in the world to fix this, has told me that it's a genetic condition and it could never be cured. Well, no, that's a lie. It's a lie from the pit of where? Hell, because it's a condition, infection in my what? My liver. And sent to the drainage organs like your kidneys, bladder, colon, or even your breath or your skin. And it just goes on, your symptom, the headache, it gives you the relief. It's a Alzheimer's. So when you get these, when you're taking it, take a break for a day. But get back on it. It's telling you when you have these symptoms that you have an infestation. All right, so let's keep on going here. There's a common misconception out there that bleaching agent is bad. What's the sun? The sun bleaches things, don't it? That's right. Too much sun's what? A bad thing. All right, let me ask you this. Can you die from drinking too much water?
Yes.
You sure can. You sure can. It's called water toxification.
There was that lady that did that contest.
That's right. She
And
sure
they
did.
sued them
That's right.
because
She drank a gallon of water on the contestant show. She sure did. Here's the problem, folks. You got to understand what you're talking about when you're talking about something. Okay? If you don't, then you please figure it out. Bleaching is done by the sun. The sun is great for you, but if I go lay out there in 95-degree heat for 2 days, I'm dead. You got to have vitamin D. Too much of it, it's going to destroy you. Same thing with everything else. All right, so let's start the study. No, wrong one. All right. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of Yah. This is something I struggle with myself. And why is that? Because we live within this world, but we're not of it. So most of the people that we come in contact with, they don't understand our mindset. They can't, and furthermore, let's state this. They can't because they're stuck in the system. All right, discussion. Next time we miss a study, I want to address this. I got a lot of emails and a lot of messages this week for missing a study. People were worried about us and everything else. Next time I will do a video on YouTube to let people know that we plan on not getting together. Sorry about that. Second, will we take a few minutes to discuss the continued benefits of MMS for me and others around me? Now I'll also clear up some questions for many others about MMS. Well, we would do our best anyway, and I think I just did that. The number one thing you should do, go look into Jim Humble's website, the Genesis 2 Church, okay, Andreas Kalker. These are great research people, and then the MMS for everyone, tips and tricks, and if you want to, whoever you want to buy it from, it doesn't matter. But everybody in this country is eating the same diet of yo-yos, yam-yams, Twinkies, Zinkel Doers, pecan swirls, and processed sausage, processed hot dogs, Red Wings, whatever. Everybody's eating the same junk. And then everybody's running around here talking about, I got anxiety, I got depression and everything else. Junk in, junk out. I don't care which way you do it. I started treating my temple like it was a temple, and guess what? I feel the best I've ever felt. And I'm not what people used to call me. He's bipolar. He's crazy. You know? The time of the last few weeks has worked wonders for my mind, and what I want to say is this, folks. I had to take a break, and we took it, and I took it last week. But I was also trying to take a break and figure out the safest and most effective route forward. The week before this week, I wasted about 20 hours of research into a dead end. And at this stage of the game, it becomes very important to do your due diligence and not spread information that is false. And what I mean by that, I don't want anybody else jumping ahead and making mistakes. We're at the end of the rabbit hole, folks. And I don't think anybody in this room really understands that or recognizes that as of yet. You're not going to find this information at any church house. You're not going to find it you're not going to find it anywhere else. You'll find it in certain places in YouTube land and everything else. But there's a reason for that. Because if everybody knew who they were, we wouldn't be living in hell like this. Okay? Most still will not recognize the stage we have reached and not fully grasp what has been discussed. But the next few weeks, and so what I'm doing is I'm slightly starting over again, but not really, because we already have a base knowledge, okay? But what I'm doing is I'm going to baby step it off into where we're going, and make sure that everybody can follow along and understand completely. The Beatitudes. Now look, this is used all the time. They take the Beatitudes and they twist it all up. But we're going to get into the Beatitudes today. And he opened his mouth and he taught them, saying, Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are they that mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. And these are all things, we say them right off our lips, and then we go right back to doing whatever we want. Blessed are they which do hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. Well, what's the righteousness, folks? What's the only way righteousness comes? Well, it's by doing what? The commandments and statutes of who? Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. And where does mercy come from? When you understand and recognize that the other brother or sister that's lost is lost, and you have mercy on them, just like he had mercy on you. But you first got to ask, first you got to knock, and first you got to seek, and then the answers will be revealed. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see Yah. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of Yah. And now I'm laying the foundation on this right here, the blessed are the peacemakers. In a future study, I'm going to show you what peace is. We're not at peace. Everything's about what these days? War. Why is that? It's the war on drugs, the war on terror, the war in Vietnam, the war here, the war there. It's all about war. That's what democracy's built off of. Okay? They keep telling you that we are no longer a republic. They tell you it all the time. But what happened? When did it change? When did we stop being a constitutional republic and become a democracy? A democracy is mob rule, folks. Democracy means that the right of the individual is subjugated to what? The wants and needs of the what? The majority. Okay, it's not about what's morally right. That's not those things. But you are at war. Well, I'm not anymore. I'm at peace. And that's going to be the key to moving forward. But let us stick on point. Persecute, legal ramifications. Now we're still in Matthew number 5. But I want to keep showing y'all how much legal talk is in the Bible. Blessed are they which are persecuted for righteousness' sake. Persecuted, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. Rejoice and be exceeding glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so persecuted they the prophets which were before you. Well, let's see what this word means, persecute. To oppress for the holding of a belief or opinion. Pursue, torment, open legal action. From the Latin persecutus, past participle of persecue, to follow, pursue, hunt down, proceed against, prosecute, start a legal action. Listen to me, folks. Listen to me. When you start reading the book as a book of the law, it will start opening itself up to you. This is what it is about. You have man's law. Yahuwah's law. Okay? One leads to life, one leads to freedom, one leads to what? debt servitude. We're going to define the word debt today. You're born a debt slave. My newborn children are born today. They already owe the federal government $2 million a head. Folks, they're going to die that way. Now, that doesn't sound logical to me. It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't know why it makes sense to anyone. Many different guesses as to what Israel means. We're going to discuss this today. I'm going to show you what Israel actually means. We want the truth here. Matthew 5:13, and this is who he's talking about. You are the salt of the earth, but if the salt have lost his Savior, wherewith shall it be salted? It is thenceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out, and to be trodden under the foot of men. Who's trodden under it? The foot of men. You are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but put it on a candlestick, because the light lights the life of men. And the darkness comprehends it not, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. Let your light so shine before men, that they may see your what? Good works. Where does the works come from, folks? It's from doing the will of who? There you go. And glorify your Father which is in heaven. So do I get to go around and say, this is what I want to do, I will. No, it's not. That's doing whatever you want to do. Israel. This is out of the Complete Dictionary of Bible Names. Israel. He will be a prince with God. A prince with God, contender of God. He strives with God, soldier of God. God will rule. God ruled man, ruling with God. One that prevails with God. Israelites, descendants of Israel. He will be a prince with God, contender of God. He strives with God, soldier of God. God will rule. God ruled man, ruling with God, one that prevails with God. Well, there's only one way to find out if that's actually true, right? Okay? There's only one way. Turn to the Scriptures. Turn to the Scriptures. What are you not the sons and daughters of God? Yahuwah. Yeah. Well, let's find out what happened with Jacob. Israel means something, folks, not Jew or Christian. Genesis 32:26, and he said, let me go, for the day breaketh. And he said, I will not let thee go, except thou bless me. Now, who's Jacob wrestling with? Y'all know this story in Genesis? Huh? Y'all know this? And he said unto him, what is thy name? And he said, Jacob. And he said, thy name shall be no more called Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and hast prevailed. And Jacob asked him and said, tell me, I pray thee, thy name. And he said, wherefore is it that thou dost ask after my name? And he blessed him there. Hold on. Let's go backwards. So as a child of Israel, what does that mean? I'm going to keep telling you this, telling you. No man can rule you, but you are under whose authority? You're the sons of God. And this is the information that can't get out. This is what religion is built around. Religion is built around binding of the mind. And once you come to this, you'll understand it and really recognize it. What is Jacob? Israel now. Why? For as a prince hast thou power with Yah and with men, and hast prevailed. It's just that simple. Look, it starts off that way and it ends that way. But it depends on whether you want to finally see it or not. That's what matters. Are you willing to open up that door and start seeking the truth? Scribo. And this is the Latin definition from Notre Dame's Latin Dictionary Aid. The military, to enroll. Noun, particle, a substance, scriptum, a mark or line, a composition, piece of writing, a decree, a law. That's where the English word scribe comes from. Just go read Matthew chapter 23 and how many woes go to the scribes and the Pharisees, folks. Matthew 5:17, think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law, till all be fulfilled. And when is that? That's the end. That's the day of Yahuwah's vengeance. Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments and shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven. For I say unto you, that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and the Pharisees. We've gone over this. What's the Pharisees? That's your religious leaders. What's the scribes? That's your lawyers, your judges, your political structure. That's all it is, folks. The words tell you the truth. You shall in no case enter into the kingdom of heaven. The more I read the book of the law, the more I grasp the concepts within. Hopefully you do too. Now listen, folks, every single person here was born into bondage. And that means every single person here since the really started in 1871 in America. But let's jump it ahead. Let's go to the initiation of 1933, the Emergency Banking Act. That's when they started the birth registration and everything else. Simply go look up what register means. Register means to surrender the title. When you register your child, you surrender the title. That's why when people go, oh no, the state's come and take my baby because I didn't vaccinate. Well, you registered it. It's theirs. You pay taxes on the home, don't you? You don't own it. You can't own it. You still pay taxes on it. It's simple concepts. Simple concepts.
And if you don't, that's because if you don't pay taxes,
They come take it.
they come take the
That's right. You don't own it.
So you still don't own it.
That's right. Matthew 5:21. You have heard that it was said by them of old time, thou shalt not kill. And that's just that simple. Does it say thou shalt not kill unless for country and flag? Well, the flag's dead, folks. It's just fabric. It's just fabric. And whosoever shall kill shall be in danger of the judgment. But I say unto you that whosoever is angry with his brother without a cause shall be in danger of the judgment. And whosoever shall say to his brother, Raka, shall be in danger of the council. What's a council, folks? That's a courtroom. It's a courtroom. But whosoever shall say, thou fool, shall be in danger of hellfire. Therefore, if thou bring thy gift to the altar, and there remembers that thy brother have aught against thee, leave there thy gift before the altar, and go thy way. First be reconciled to thy brother. Now see, this has got big implications, because blessed are the peacemakers. Okay? Not at war. Not a warrior. Not a what? Brawler. It's going to have huge implications as we go forward. First be reconciled to thy brother, and then come and offer thy gift. Don't even give me thy gift first. Make peace. Agree with thine adversary what? Quickly. And we're going to get into this in a later date and time, what honor and dishonor means in admiralty law. Okay? While thou art in the way with him, lest at any time the adversary deliver thee to a what? A judge. And the judge deliver thee to an officer, and thou be cast into prison. Verily I say unto thee, thou shalt by no means come out thence till thou hast paid the uttermost. Let's go ahead and change that to the word that would be used today, money. It's called commercial law. And you'll hear people whine about it all the time. Well, rich people don't go to jail. That's because they had enough money to pay their way out. It's just really that simple. You paid your debt back to society. And there's a price on all of it. It's just that simple. I didn't have money, so guess where I went? It's commercial. It's commercial. Titles and what they really mean. You'll hear people say this all the time. Mr., Mr., Mr. Well, what does Mr. mean? Mrs.? Mrs. is a debased language of Mr. It means a conventional title of courtesy before a man's Christian name. That's kind of funny, because what's your Christian name? Why do you need a title before it? You don't. An unaccented variant of master. What's the unaccented variant of master? It means below the master. So when somebody calls you Mr., okay, it is actually a derogatory title, but of course we don't know it in this society. As a form of address when the man's name is unknown, often with a tinge of rudeness from 1760. That's a Mr. You're not a master. So you're actually saying, when you call yourself Mr., that you are ruled by someone. And it's just the simple wordplay that is done with our language, where we aren't taught these things. It's just unbelievable. So when you get something from the IRS, you'll notice that it has the title Mr. Brandon whatever Sibley in all capital letters. And of course the lawyers and those who study the language know these things. Alright, so let's go to title. An inscription, a heading, a title or chapter of a book, position, legal permit. Man, all these things have so much to do with legality, you know. And in part from Old English, title, both from Latin titulus, inscription, label, ticket, placard, heading, honorable appellation, title of honor. Well, if we go back to the Black's Law dictionary, remember when I showed y'all all the different things, a naturalized citizen, a human being, a monster? Well, the only way you got the rights and the privileges was what? By the title that you held. Y'all remember that? So if you hold the title of Mr., that means you're what? You're a lower class citizen. You're the little c. Where if you're a sovereign, say Lord Jacob Rothschild, who's a master, that's what the title means, master. That's what Lord means, is master. Guess what? He's got the rights and privileges above you. Matrix. I bet y'all thought that was a new word. The many figurative and technical senses are from the notion of that which encloses or gives origin to something. The general sense of place or medium where something is developed is recorded by the 1550s. There's that little thing. It means a trap. That's what a matrix is. Okay? That's what a matrix is. Oh, here. Matrix Ecclesiassa. That's in Black's Law Dictionary. The Mother Church. This term was anciently applied to a cathedral in relation to the other churches in the same see. Remember that? Keep remembering this water terminology. Or to a parochial church in relation to the chapels or minor churches attached to it or depending on it. What is your matrix ecclesia? The matrix ecclesia, the religion, the binding. Is it your flag, your country, your state, your church? When you're still doing your will, it is whatever you put above the will of the Father, i.e. Easter, Halloween, the Day of the Dead, whatever celebration you want to do. Everything in the book is discussed as being good or not good. Everything. Every single thing in this book. Skipping a few verses ahead, we'll get to the oath section. And y'all see I haven't left, what are we, 33 verses in? Mm-hmm. How much of the Beatitudes has been about law? It's pretty important. It's pretty important. A lot of it's about law. Again, you have heard that it hath been said of them by them of old time, thou shalt not forswear thyself, but shalt perform unto Yahuwah thine oaths. And I say unto you, swear not at all, neither by heaven, for it is Yah's throne, nor by the earth, for it is his footstool, neither by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great king. Neither shalt thou swear by thy head, because thou canst not make one hair white or black. But let your communication be yea, yea, nay, nay. Whatsoever is more than these cometh of evil. And of course, now we have the big ritual on TV when they go to swearing people in, and they even call it that. They even tell you right to your face, I'm swearing in. The very first thing that you do when you go into a courtroom and you go back there, the first thing they want you to do is swear on the Bible. Yeah, go ahead, swear on this Bible. All you're doing is saying, I'm leaving the real law and I'm going to what law? The man's law. That's all you're doing. You just broke his laws. Right then and there, you just left it. It's just that simple. It really is simple. Look, the worst thing that has been done to the words of this book is that it has been twisted by men to mean what they want. The words are there and they are simple. They are simple. Retaliation. Ye have heard that it hath been said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But where did that come from? That was out of the Hammurabi codes. Remember I showed y'all the Hammurabi codes out of Babylon? The first set of inscriptions of actual codes, statutes, regulations from King Hammurabi, which was out of Babylon. It's on a pillar. It's been saved. It's in one of the museums in Europe somewhere. I can't remember exactly where. But all the statutes, codes, and regulations from Babylon are on that pillar. And it's like 5,000 to 10,000 statutes, codes, and regulations. Man, it covered everything. It covered just like everything that is done in our society, it's covered, right? But no. What does Yahushua say? But I say unto you that you resist not evil if that's what you do. That means you want retaliation. That means vengeance is yours. What does Yah say? Vengeance is mine, saith Yahuwah. Learn how to read. Because if you read this too fast, you miss the meaning. Let's do it again. You have heard that it hath been said, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth. But I say unto you that you resist not evil. But whosoever shall smite thee on thy cheek, right cheek, turn to him the other also. There's that peacemaker. And if any man will sue thee at the law. Man, I tell you, it seems to be that the law has a big place within Yahushua's mind. The law means something. And take away thy coat, let him have thy cloak also. We're going to get into this in a later date and stage when I show you that in order to break free of this system and step into the creditor position, you have to make peace with the system. And I'm going to show you all this. And whosoever shall compel thee to go a mile, go with him too. Go with him too. Give to him that asketh thee, and from him that would borrow of thee, turn not thou away. Why? Because that's the debt. Blessed are the peacemakers. Blessed are they. The publicans. Here we go. We're just going right on through. We're just going right through these verses, people. But we got to define the terms that we use. For if you love them which love you, what reward have you? Do not even the publicans the same? What's a publican? Anybody ever went and looked up what a publican is? And if you salute your brethren only, what do you more than others? Do not even the publicans so? Be you therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect. The word publicans comes from G5057 and Strong's Concordance, telones. It means publican. A tax farmer. That is a collector of public revenue. A publican. That's what it means. So I've only gone through 48 verses, and so about 20 of them I've skipped through, and about 20 of those verses have been about what? The law. Isn't that funny? We go into these church houses, and none of them, the publicans are in the church houses collecting what? Money. You can't serve two masters, folks. You either love the one and hate the other, or you cling to the one and cling to the other. You cannot serve Yah and Mammon. It cannot be done. It cannot be done. Yahuwah's prayer. And we're just going to go through Yahuwah's prayer. I'm going through just a couple verses. A couple verses. Our Father, which art in heaven, Hallowed be thy name. You see that double H, that big H? That means hallowed be thy name. Well, if you call Jacob Rothschild Lord, then his name ain't Lord. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done. That's how many times we say this over and over and over and over and over again. Thy will be done. In earth as it is in heaven. Sounds simple enough, doesn't it? But how many of you out there right now, and me too, like, hey, look, I'm not casting a stone. Before I pull the log out of my eye, the point is to make people think. And this study group will continue doing things you want, even when you know they aren't of Yahuwah. Are you still wrestling with Yah? It was upon Jacob agreeing, becoming the peacemaker, that he became Israel. Hey, look, man, this stuff is all over this book, this knowledge. And it's real simple to understand. I'm nothing special. I'm not a theologian. Matter of fact, I'm a 9th grade dropout. But I've got a love for this. And it's important. Give us this day our daily bread. Now here's the 4th line of this prayer. And it makes you wonder, why is this in the book? But you can't understand it until you understand the world that you live in. Listen, folks, you got to know the who, what, when, where. The most important is the what. The why. And when you come to the knowledge of why, that you are the leader of your own life, and it is nobody else's fault for the reason you are where you are, then you can take control of it. And forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Now I want to make this completely clear. Matthew chapter 5, Matthew chapter 6, and Matthew chapter 7 are all the what? Sermon on the Mount. He doesn't come off the mount until after those chapters. This is still part of the Sermon on the Mount. Let's see what this word debt means. Alright, we're just going to do a little a Strong's coordinates. Ophiliates. Y'all remember this Ophilus? The Ophikas? Okay, that's got something to do with wisdom and the snake, right? That's right, it sure does. An ower. That is a person indebted. Figuratively, a delinquent. Morally, a transgressor against God. A debtor, which owed a sinner. Now, this is going to be too much for some people. It's going to bypass, and I wish I would have put it. I bet you I didn't put it in here, but we're going to go look at it anyway. The cognitive dissonance. I bet I should have put it right here, but we're going to go look at it before the study group's over. To understand these things, you got to start slowing down when you read your Bible. You really got to think about the concepts and what is being talked about. Let's continue on. This is important, folks, so pay attention. Every single thing in this system that you were born into is built on the simple philosophy of you breaking every statute, decree, and law of the Most High. Everything. I don't care how you look at it. And I discussed this with many people. It doesn't matter. This is the truth. It is so simple to recognize that our entire schools are for fish in what? Mason jars. There's a reason why it's called public education, folks. The public gets educated to be the public, not an individual. We'll take people, take men and women, we'll give them specialized training. That way they never figure out that they're slaves. Ever. Of course, that is what public education is about. Training you to be a good slave. a slave forever in debt. Now, I'm going to show you quotes today directly from the richest men in this world, directly from Congress. We're going to get up to this. That the system, they never even minced words about it. The system they made was to enslave us. And they even told us in the Senate meeting number 43 in 1933, March the 6th, the 73rd session of the Senate. They said it wide openly. They've never minced words. Woodrow Wilson said it. Roosevelt said it. Many presidents have said it. Many Senate members, many House Republicans, many people have said it. Knew what they were doing. So if they can say it openly, that means there has to be a solution to the problem, right? Well, of course there is. Of course there's a solution to the problem. That's what we're working our way towards. We authorized the straw man. God bless you. We authorized the straw man account, right? What's the straw man account? We've discussed this. We're going to get into this more. That's your persona. That's the mask you put on. That's what person means. When you get pulled over by a cop and he asks you, what you got on your person? First thing you should ask him, where is he? Where's this person that you carrying around? Huh? You carrying around something? I'll give you another example. Choya went to deal with some IRS. And what goes up there, they tell him, hey man, you're not this person. There's something messed up on the paperwork. You're gonna have to fix this, buddy. I'm Choya. I'm here. No, you're not. You're not the paperwork. You're not. Start paying attention to these small things. Like you go grab a insurance card or anything else out your pocket that proves who you are more. No, it don't. You're there. You're there. The fiction of the law is representing you. You're in the place of the real man and woman. You're decided to give yourself over. The graven image we give life to. All our debts have been forgiven. He just said that, right? Huh? The only way this truth can actually be obtained, and it is true, my dear friends, it is true, that much I will tell you, is actually figuring out who you are. So once you come to that point and quit worrying about everything else, and quit worrying about how am I going to do this, how am I going to do that, I'm going to show you a maxim of the law today. It's going to blow your mind. Okay? All right, let me ask you this. And let's think about this. I want everybody to think about this. Somebody, somewhere, writes a check to the Federal Reserve to put money on the books. And that money starts off as a credit from that original signature. From that point out, it's a what? When it goes on the ledger, to us, the American people, it's a what? It's a debt. Who's writing the original check that's giving the credit? Oh, therein lies the rub that we're going to get to. Only a sovereign can issue credit. You are a son and daughter of the Most High, and as that, you are the king of your castle. The adversary, trickster, fraudster can only work with deceit. But it is by deed, indeed, that we can discover life and finally have it more abundantly. The way is by truth, and that truth leads to life. Yahushua isn't off the mount yet, but a lot of his sermon on the mount had to do with legal implications. How much of the mount sermon is about legal? And look, if I had enough time to stuff the whole thing in here, I would have. Because it goes on. I've been in here dismantling this for going on 8-9 weeks, well maybe even longer, since I did Made in His Image, Dominion on His Earth. I've been showing you that there's more to this than what's been taught. Well, I'll take that back. There's many men and women that have taught it, but they've been ostracized, marginalized, and shucked away. Maxim in the law. The money of the sovereign is his what? Credit. He is the wealth for which no substance on earth can establish a value for. Let me read that one more time. The money of the sovereign is his credit. He is the wealth for which no substance on earth can establish a value for. So let me ask you this, folks. Why is your birth certificate on a bank bond? Huh? Why is your birth certificate on a bank bond? Anybody ever looked at the birth certificate? Go look at it. It's on a bank bond. And then let me ask you this. Why do you have a social security number that's 9 digits long? How many digits is your bank account? Your account number? 9 digits long. Where's your real money going? Huh? Go pay attention. Go pull up your social security. Go pull up your social security card and then look at your birth certificate and look at the picture that you got of your live birth that's registered now by a bank. You're a bond. Well, if you're a bond, that means you're what? You're a surety. What's a surety mean? You are the bond, the surety for the straw man that gets taxed. The bank account is your Social Security account. That's your CAFR account. CAFR. That's where the money goes, and when you die, you go to the graveyard, you face east towards the sun, you're mourning towards the sun, and the all capital letters is on the grave telling you lost your birthright. That's why everybody's in the graveyard looking the same way towards the same direction. You forgot it. It's called dead ledger text. Ledger is the what? That's the ledger that they write the money accounts on. And it's just, listen, the stuff that's I implore you, just go start off with looking at your birth certificate and your social security number. And first ask the question, who owns you? And then once you discover that you owned, you might care enough to actually start looking into it. Time, I'm not going to try to butcher this. This is a saying from the Latin, Old Latin. I'm not even going to try to butcher that. Time cannot render valid an act void in its origin. And what's the act that's void in its origin? Not one of you have informed consent. Do you understand that? You were registered as a child. You were never given the opportunity to know anything about this system. And as such, it is void. And this is man's law we're talking about now. And because you were never informed, that contract is what? Void. Why? Because for a contract to be good, you have to have what? 2 consenting, agreeing parties. At that point in time that you do not have 2 consenting agreeing parties, it is null and void. Not going to mess this one up. What is mine cannot be taken away without my consent. So how's the fraud perpetrated? Well, we authorize it. And that's the trick. That is the trick. Pay attention if you ever go do your mortgage papers. There's gonna be a page called number 4. It's the notes section. All right, you're gonna create money. Your signature is going to create money. When you sign that notes, the notes part of the mortgage, you are creating the money in your account. They turn around and loan that money to you. Sure do. They sure do. Pay attention when you sign something. Know what you're signing. We must have recourse to what is extraordinary when what is ordinary fails. Remember I told you that only the sovereign can issue a credit? They know what you are. Your signature is what creates the money that they loan back to you at interest. And of course, what does a mortgage mean? Come on.
Mortgage is death.
That's right. So it would be the death what? Pledge. The death pledge. You can't change the meaning of words. Money. The following statements come from several different sources, from Congress, Supreme Court cases, and the Federal Reserve. All stem from the passage of HJR 192. And I want to show you all this at a later date and time. The Treasury writes up an interest-bearing bond for $1 billion. The Federal Reserve gives the Treasury a $1 billion credit for the bond and has created out of nothing a $1 billion debt which the American people are obligated to pay with interest. Here's the crazy part, folks. You can never pay the interest back. It's impossible. We haven't created the money. It's just a perpetual cycle. It can never be paid back. A debt is not paid by the giving of a note. That is Nolan Company versus Maryland Casualty Company. A note is only a promise to pay and not payment. So let me tell you something, folks. When you say forgive me our debts, and as we forgive our debtors, there hasn't been one debt paid in this country since 1933 and the removal of the gold standard. And you want to know why? Because all you're passing in between each other is what?
Paper.
And it's only what? Debt. It's only debt. Take the time, look at your bills. It is legal tender to be paid for debts. Go define those terms. It has no value except for what's in your mind. The only thing, every time those dollars are printed, it is a debt on the ledger. Do you understand that? So as those dollars are printed off, it's a debt. I pass between you and me, their dead presidents, and their debts. How's anything ever to pay for? It's not. Checks aren't money in themselves. That's from the Federal Reserve Board. A debt is not paid by the giving of a note. Well, that's what they are, Federal Reserve notes. Checks are simply order forms instructing banks and other depository institutions such as savings banks and credit unions to move transaction balances, which are money. The transaction is the money, same as above. Banks don't keep cash in checking accounts and don't transfer currency or coin when acting on a check's instructions. The money, Federal Reserve notes, will be worth, and this is from the 73rd Congress, this is the thing I was telling you about. If you want to go read something that is eye-opening, will just blow your mind what was instituted in the minutes of that Congress, go read it. March 9th, 1933, 73rd Congress. I want to say it's the 46th, I'll have to look it up. Because the money will be worth 100 cents on the dollar because it is backed by the credit of the nation. Whoa. Okay? It will represent a mortgage on all homes and other property of all the people in the nation. The money so issued will not have 1 penny of gold coverage behind it because it is really not needed. Because it is valueless. All right, let's do this. Eckhart versus the commissioners of the CCA, 42 Federal 2nd, 158. The giving of a Federal Reserve note does not constitute what? Payment. All right, let's go to the Fidelity Savings versus Grimes. These are all court cases, by the way. The use of a Federal Reserve note is only a what? Promise to pay. Legal tender, Federal Reserve notes are not good and lawful money of the United States. That's Raines versus State. Federal Reserve notes are valueless. Now you're going to like this one. What is that from? Oh, wow, look, that's the IRS codes, section 1.1001-14657. What? Are you crazy? Yeah, straight out of the IRS. Now you have to start looking though. You have to first ask the question. If you ask the question, well then doors start opening. We've come a long way in the study group, folks. Are you ready to go the rest of the way? I sure hope so. Because I'm no longer afraid of the ramifications. Because I know who I am. 2 quotes, one from the past and one from the present. John Adams said, I'm firmly of the opinion. Now, who was John Adams? That's right, one of the presidents. I told you I was going to keep pulling quotes that actually had meaning. I just showed you 4 court cases. The Federal Reserve notes are what? Valueless. What does the IRS say about them? They're valueless. They have no value. So you've never paid a debt in your whole life. Not one. Not one. I'm firmly of the opinion that there never was a paper pound, a paper dollar, or a paper promise of any kind that ever yet obtained a general currency as money, but by force and fraud. That the army has been grossly cheated, that the creditors have been infamously defrauded, some closed their shops to prevent being paid off with worthless paper money, that the widows and the fatherless have been oppressively wronged and beggared, that the gray hairs of the aged and the innocent, for want of their just dues, have gone down with sorrow to their graves, in consequence of our disgraceful, depreciated paper currency. What's another way they steal from us with this paper currency? Not is it good enough to keep us in debt. No, that's not good enough for these people. No, because they also have to use inflation. And what's inflation? That is the secret loss of your wealth. And inflation means, let's go back to your age and your age, Betty. Y'all remember when you went and bought a hamburger and a Coke and popcorn at the movies, and that was 25 cents?
I remember when you could do them. You get 5 things for 25 cents.
That's right. And now you go up there and you're going to pay $9.99 for a little bitty old box of candy. Popcorn $5.99. Drinks $10. But anyway, it's the point. You bought a car. Your first car was worth $2,000 or somewhere right around. You go today, they're $60. The point is inflation. Okay, let's just take another analogy. 10 years ago, you bought a box of Cheez-It crackers. The box weighed 24 ounces or whatever. You go buy that same box today, you pay the same price, and it's only 12 ounces of crackers. That's called inflation. It's the loss in value. A gallon of milk, just in my lifetime, you could get a gallon of milk at $2.99 a gallon or $1.99 a gallon. Now you go up there, it's $7.05 a gallon. Inflation is the other way they take the wealth. And it's not the wealth. And what they are doing is what? Oppressing people. Listen, I don't care which way you do it. Whoever holds a bunch of money, let's think on our terms. Somebody holds a bunch of money. What does that mean somebody else is doing in this country?
Less.
They've got less. So you are oppressing your brother and sister for something that has no value. From silent weapons for quiet wars, the international organizational intents, purposes, and activities include complete control of public finances, control, supervision, and audit of indigenous fiscal resources, budget practices, taxation, expenditures of public funds, currency issues, and banking agencies and affiliates. This, of course, complies with the Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars Research Technical Manual, which discloses a declaration of war. Hold on, folks. Hold on. Pay attention. Who did they declare war on? It's right. I'm reading right here. Which discloses a declaration of war upon the American people. I'd be doggone. I'm going to skip down here. And we already know this. We'll learn this in the next study. I'm going to read you the Trading with the Enemy Act. When Roosevelt confiscated the gold, they took all the gold bullion and everything else off the market in 1933, and they initiated the Trading with the Enemy Act. It clearly states that the American people are the enemy of the government. We're at war. And of course, we know we're at war. Why? How do you know you're at war? How do we know that we're at war? Come on, somebody in here has to know, because every year, every president renews it. I know you know. You don't want to say it, though. I'll tell you. Every year, the national emergency is reinitiated by every sitting president. the national emergency institutes what? Martial law. And that is why your policy enforcers run around loaded to the hilt. And why every time they kill somebody, they never see justice. Because legally, they have the right to do that. Because we are at war. And this is just a cold, hard truth, folks.
And I guess they know that.
Yes, they know that. Let me read this. The quality of education given to the lower class must be of the poorest sort, so that a mode of ignorance isolating the inferior class from the superior class is and remains incomprehensible to the inferior class. With such an initial handicap, even the bright lower class individuals have little, if any, hope of extricating themselves from their assigned lot in life. This form of slavery is essential to maintaining some measure of social order, peace, and tranquility for the ruling upper class. Quotes. I'm going to finish this up with a few quotes from the Rothschild brothers. I think I've got one from Leo Tulsi and I've got one from Henry Ford. Well, let's read these together. All right. The few who understand the system will either be so interested in its profits or be so dependent upon its favors that there will be no opposition from that class. While on the other hand, the great body of the people, the corpus, mentally incapable of comprehending the tremendous advantage that capital derives from this system, will bear its burdens without complaint, and perhaps without even suspecting that the system is inimical to their interests. That was the Rothschild brothers of London writing to associates in New York in 1863. Money is a new form of slavery, and indistinguishable from the old simply by the fact that it is impersonal, that there is no human relation between what? Master and slave. That's Leo Tulsi, a Russian writer. It is well enough that people of the nation do not understand our banking and money system, for if they did, I believe there would be a revolution before tomorrow morning. That was Henry Ford, the founder of the Ford Motor Company. And listen, folks, what I'm trying to tell you is that most people just go along to get along. And they don't ask questions. And of course, that's taught through the public education system. This is how it's supposed to be. This is what's supposed to be right. This is okay. But listen to me. Listen to me. The generation of children being born today, normal for them is transgenderism and homosexuality and bestiality and everything else. It doesn't make it right. I don't care what you say. You can use your eyes. You can use your God-given senses. You know that a male and a female were put together here for what? To procreate. Anything else is bullcrap. It's just somebody wanting to do their will. That's fine as long as they say that's what it is. Don't lie to me, though, and tell me that you were born that way. No, you weren't, because you were born to procreate, just like all of us. You want to do what you want to do. But this is the point. Just because you were born in a system doesn't mean you have to agree with it. But the only way you can disagree, you have to what? You have to understand it. So now we're here to this point that we're going to start getting there. I finally wrapped my head around this. But let me show you something. Let me show you how disgusting and vile this system is and built on such an oppression. This is a Goldman Sachs article, and I asked y'all to go read it. I think I've shared it with y'all before. Goldman Sachs asked in Biotech Research Report, is curing patients a sustainable business model? No, it's not. Why not? Why? You're going to learn this next week.
Put yourself out of business.
You put yourself out of business, but it's not about curing people. They can't legally. Why can't they legally cure people? Huh? Oh, no, they can't. Cures will never benefit the military, pharmaceutical, industrial complex. And their goals as cures would release men and women from bondage. And being in bondage is the entire goal of democracy. That's the truth. Democracy is war, And the only way to stop the war is come to peace with it. Learn who you are and start figuring the path out. The war of terror, which is terra, which is what? Earth, began long ago. Folks, what kind of system would actually come out and say that in a business report and nobody bat an eye? Huh? Well, let me tell you something. And let me tell you something right now. Cancer's been cured for over 100 years. How many of your family members have died from cancer? I know one of my most important people I ever met died from cancer, and he shouldn't have had to. General information, I'm going to read this up here. This is the first time I ever read anything out of a book that matched my thoughts on it. But I want to read it to you. When an individual does experience either medical or legal problems, the modern practices of either of these professions, with their latest voodoo and chromium-plated theology practices, they can only treat the symptom and not the root cause. If they were to treat the root cause, they would either bury or imprison their client. Because of their limited license, that's their limited liability LLC, they are not allowed to attend to this primal concern, lest they obtain a charge that must be addressed and create a repetitive cycle that can never end. This is one reason why there is no remedy in the public system, though we need it, as it is the one that must regulate the commercial transactions between individuals, men, and governments. It's the psychological glue. How many people, to their last breath, listen, look what they did to Carlos, wanting to cut his liver out as he was dying, just to get another transaction in. Just to get another transaction in. Man's dead, virtually dead, 100% life support, and they wanted to cut his liver out and everything else. To why? Now, don't tell me that's a doctor. Don't tell me that's a doctor. My grandpa made the decision. What did he say? Don't touch me. That's it. I don't want none of y'all touching me anymore. I'd rather die. Hey, listen, folks, this is just the truth. They can't give cures because they can't legally do it. And that's the limited liability. And the only way an attorney can represent you is what? You sign it over. You sign over your power of attorney to someone else. But once you come to this recognition that you are the attorney in fact, but to be such, you have to what? You have to know the language that you're speaking first. That's all a lawyer does. They go to school to learn language. All right, we will end here today. Putting these studies together has become a infinitely harder task, as now I must be very careful not to lead anyone down the wrong path. We see the problems. We know the who, what, when, and where. Are you ready to face the why? Everyone has a choice in life, and my will continues to decrease, and my Father's will to increase, leading me to understanding I never thought possible. If anyone has any direct knowledge of the secured party, which is what Justinian deception is used, please share it. I think I got one more slide too, folks. Maxim in the law, here it is. The money of the sovereign is his credit. He is the wealth for which no substance on earth can establish a value for. What is the value of a man's life? What is the value of your life? Can it be bought? Can it? No. Money is paper. The ultimate ownership, and this is out the same deal, of all property is in the state. Individual so-called quotation marks ownership is only by virtue of government, i.e., law amounting to mere user. And when you go sign your mortgage, you're going to see on there that you're a tenant. You don't own nothing. You're just a tenant. And use must be in accordance with law and subordinate to the necessities of the state. Senate document number 43, Senate resolution number 62, April 17th, 1933. The price of ignorance is far greater than the cost of an education. Let thy word not return unto thee void, but let it accomplish that which you please. And thank you for giving me this message. In your precious son's name, we pray all these things. That's good. Any questions?